Hello, loves. Welcome to another episode of Flip the Script with Vic. I'm your host, Victoria Nielsen. Today is the first solo episode of the new season. And if you're watching on YouTube, you may be noticing that there is something different about me. If you're not watching the video, you could pause now and go see the video, or you can keep listening. And I will share about the new throat and chest tattoo that I just came back on a pilgrimage for this beautiful skin marking, this beautiful skin blessing. And I really want to share the full story. And so I felt like a podcast was the best place to do it so that I could really share all of the little details because I think that is what for me shows me that this was really truly aligned and that there was little breadcrumbs along the way that were really allowing this to happen and were leading me to this so that it could happen so quickly. So, to kind of take you back, if you will, to 2022, I went to a retreat called the Dreamweavers Retreat on 11/11. And so many of my dreams that I planted seeds for have come to fruition. I have talked on a TEDx stage. I am now receiving of my spiritual armor. I went through a transformational breathwork session, which transformational breathwork is really just breathing for an hour, but you breathe in a specific pattern so that your body can get into a parasympathetic nervous state. And states of bliss and euphoria can be found in the body. You can release so much. And afterwards, I saw myself in this vision, like very Egyptian. We were doing the transformational breath work in a pyramid. But I was like bathed in gold and I saw on myself my spiritual armor. I saw that I had like a chest tattoo. I also saw that I had a tattoo in the back of my heart to like protect the back of my heart. And then I wrote down in my journal that there was a tattoo on the back of my throat. Again, I think maybe to like protect my throat and my voice. And so I wrote all this out after it happened, right? I put it into the universe. We wove some magic during that retreat. And then I kind of forgot about it. I've gotten tattoos since then. I've got a little bee on my ankle. I've gotten my hand tattoo since then, after I heard to adorn my hands. So there's been some other, artwork and activations, if you will, like in between all of this happening. So another part of the story that I think is important to share is that there was another artist I was going to go to for something like this, but she specifically does like mother markings. And while that's absolutely really beautiful, I'm glad that it didn't come to fruition a few years ago because I am so much more than a mother. And this marking that I did receive embodies that to me. It embodies me so fully and so completely and embodies all parts of myself. Whereas the mother marking really felt like it was just, one part of me. So I have this vision, right? And I almost forget about it until Sara, the beautiful woman who wove this beautiful marking into my skin, put out a call on her wait list. And I had been following her for a time and really felt just so drawn to her energy, to her in like impeccable authenticity to who she is and what she's here to do in the world. And really, she awoke in me this feral wild woman that really has been wanting to be acknowledged, right? And is a lot of the work that I do in the world is helping women find this side in themselves. And so it felt like a deeper devotion to myself to not only go on this pilgrimage across a literal ocean to receive this marking, but also it really just felt like something that I was meant to do at this moment in time. And so she sent out this list to say that she was going to be in certain places, for however long. And I just felt really called to Cornwall. And my dad's mom does have some heritage in kind of the English, Irish, Scottish, like Celtic, lineage. But I don't really tap into that as much, right? Like I'm very much tapped into my Cuban lineage. And so I thought that was really important too for me to kind of explore that because the Celtic goddesses have been coming in more and more for me. And really, there was alchemy in this entire process because even in asking my husband if I could go on this trip last minute, okay, a month, we planned all of this in about a month. I had to use my voice for that. I had to stand up for myself. I had to say that this was something that was really important. And, thankfully he was very supportive and helped me plan it. But in the planning process, for sure, it brought up some of our communication things that needed to be worked through. It brought up some of the ways that we talk to each other, some of the cycles that we're perpetuating, right? And so even in just saying yes to this experience, it started the alchemy. That's what happens when you go on these like retreats and pilgrimages, you know? I believe in the energy of it so much because I've experienced it myself, that shift, that change that happens energetically when you say, I am open to this next level. I'm open to this next thing. I surrender and I trust that whatever is coming is for my highest good. And so we made the trip happen. And in planning for me going to Cornwall, I only went for 4 days and it was a very quick trip. And I was going to take the train from London. It's about a 5 hour train ride, and there are train strikes happening. So the day before I'm leaving, I decided to rent a car. I said, okay, cool. Like, what an opportunity that I'm going to get to drive on the wrong side of the road, experience this, show myself that I can do this. Because also, I haven't traveled without someone probably like ever. You know, I traveled a lot when I was younger in group programs. So like in 6th grade was the last time I was in England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales for a program called People to People, where we just exchange. It was like a group exchange for 2 weeks. And, you know, I traveled a little bit in college over my spring break in Paris. But again, I was like with groups of kids. I wasn't like backpacking on my own. You know, I never had that kind of solo adventure travel by myself per se. So that was also something I was really craving and felt like was really an important piece to this trip. And the universe I gave me signs along the way that it was the right choice because, you know, as I'm driving, I'm like an hour into my drive out of the blue is Stonehenge, just like on the side as I look out my window. And I was like, holy shit, like I've got to stop. I've got to go see what's happening, you know, feel the energy here. Stonehenge was a little bit smaller than I expected, to be honest, but the energy was still really amazing. I love that I got to stop and see it and just be in it, and that was like the way that my trip started, was like a little wink from the universe. It said like everything is working out in your favor, it's on the right path. Like, hey, if you had taken the train, like you would have never even gotten to see this. Like, how cool. So, you know, I'm driving, I'm having a great time. Like it's really not bad until I get much closer to my destination. And at this point, it's about 7:30 at night. So it's later and it's pitch dark. I'm going to 120 acres of farmland out in the middle of nowhere. And I will say the host and the tattoo artist very graciously gave me directions like multiple times, many ways. It was just really hard in the dark to actually make sure that I was where I was supposed to be when it's like this really small, tiny, hidden lane, and I wasn't sure. There was a wooden like fence next to me, if I should go through the fence, if I should go down this like creepy dark lane that I couldn't see in the dark. I tried to go down part of it, but the lane turned a little bit and I got worried that again I was going in the wrong direction. And so I had to call my husband in a panic because I didn't have any service to like connect with the people that were literally right there. Like the farm was so close to me. But I thought, what a metaphor for life, that you're so close to your final destination, you're so close to your end goal, and then you have a full-on fucking panic attack, right? Or you freak out because it's that last little bit that you've got to give. And I loved that my journey started like that because I personally, that is a cycle that I have seen for myself, that I can get really close to the end and I just want to give up. And it's pushing that last 1%, pushing that last 2% that really is what busts things wide open. And I've seen it in transformational breath work, right? I that last 5 minutes when you want to give up, when you want to stop breathing because perhaps you feel like you've been hyperventilating a little bit, pushing past that little edge has allowed me to move so much further, so much faster than really anything else. So I liked that reminder from the universe. I was welcomed very graciously to the farm that we stayed at. That, oh my gosh, just 120 acres of land that they have reactivated. They've used dowsing rods to connect with the land and reactivate stone circles and different things from like the Neolithic era. So there's just an energy to this place. And I stayed in the most beautiful artist cottage, and they graciously left me food. Like after my journey, I was starving, and to have like gluten-free food in the fridge was like the best. So I landed really beautifully. And then ceremony day, you know, Sara and I have talked, you know, before the marking has occurred, that kind of where I wanted a little bit, and just any thoughts in like dreams and meditations and things that have come through. So we've had some conversations, but I don't know yet what is going on in my body or really where it is or anything. I feel very much like it's probably going to be on my throat, probably very much wanted on my heart space. But we sit in ceremony together, drinking beautiful cacao and connecting with that plant medicine and connecting with the plant medicine of blue lotus and of rose and really just like holding each other in conversation, really Sara holding me in conversation to share like what I've been moving through and what this mark means to me and why I want it now. And I really do believe it is my spiritual armor. You know, I received my magenta rose heart last year at Mount Shasta, and so much has opened for me from that. And so she showed me the design, and I was just floored at how beautifully she captured my energy and my essence. And it also really matched some of the cards that I pulled. I pulled some cards around like water codes, which you'll see like around my shoulders, flows very beautifully with the waters. She included the Mother Maiden Crone symbol, my own rose for my rose heart that has one thorn to keep me safe, right? I've got my two peacocks here guarding me, protecting me. She channeled all of this and shared the most beautifully intimate, piece that I have for integration and just the messages from my ancestors and guides and angels. And the whole experience was really transformational because not only was I held, but we're talking the entire time she's tattooing and we're moving energy and it was a beautiful weaving and a connection and a co-creation that I really can't even describe unless you were there in the room. I swear I'm never going to get a tattoo another way again because this was so special and so awakening and so activating and so intimate. But really, really beautiful. And interestingly, I had no problems with the chest and with the, center. I knew like it felt good. And I did cry a little bit, right, as I was alchemizing things that we were talking about. I bled interestingly on the right side when she was doing the right peacock. So on your masculine side, I was releasing some things out of the shoulders and that area. When she got to the throat, you guys, it's not even that it hurt. I had so much shame and guilt and just like so much pent up information. My body was giving me information in the form of like my emotions because I really had this thought of like, oh fuck, what have I done? Like I can't undo this. I can't take this off my neck now. And especially when it was on the right side doing kind of the right flowing dots, I just couldn't stop crying. And I had so much to move through around what it would mean to be seen in society and be seen by my husband and seen by my family members. And no one has judged me, by the way. Everyone absolutely loves it as much as I do. I mean, I'm obsessed with it. But there was a lot of alchemy in the throat, and especially for my husband too, because before I even left, he kind of was like, "Don't get a throat tattoo," and I came back with one, but in a different way, I think, than he expected. And I didn't go into it thinking that that was what I was going to get, but I really wanted to trust myself and trust the journey and go all in. Like if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it, right? And because of that self-trust, I felt the energy move through my body when she was done with the sides. I had to get up from the table and shake and shake and shake, and I let out the biggest primal scream I've ever experienced in my entire life, like out of my womb for my ancestors, like just I mean it was feral, so feral and so needed, and it moved a lot, a lot. And I am really grateful that things worked out the way that they did. I actually, the next day was going back for my flight. Sara and I got to take some amazing pictures. I got to walk the land some more, made it back only to find that my flight the next day was canceled. And anyone else could look at that. And I was, of course, upset in the moment, but I really believe it was the universe giving me more time to land fully after this experience because I feel completely changed. And I know that may sound silly to someone just listening to this or watching this episode, but putting this energy, these markings on my skin, allowing them to be seen on the outside. I feel like they've always been there on the inside. To allow them to be seen on the outside feels like such a coming home to my body and to myself. I have never felt this way in my entire life, and I feel so powerful. I feel so in charge of who I am. I feel so connected to my own energy, but also the energy of creation itself, that I am just a piece of this web that is being weaved. And I'm like burping as I'm talking because I just feel so much more open as a channel for light and as a channel for the shadow and as a channel to just hold and move through energy. And I know I'm still integrating all of this. Like, this is very new, right? I literally just came home 2 days ago. Like, this is, there's more to come, and maybe there will be a part two, but it just was amazing to me how supported that you can be by the universe. And I think it's important to share that support doesn't mean that there aren't hiccups, right? Like, my flight was canceled on the way home. But I was able to lean into that and allow myself then to take more time to ground, to land, to cry, to move through the energy that was moving through my body. And you know what? That was medicine for my husband too. Yes, he had to redo his entire schedule. Yes, it was stressful. Yes, he's holding down the fort with the kids while he has his full-time job. But you know what? That's medicine for him to get to experience that too, because I have held that as a woman and it's not fun. And so when we make these choices that feel selfish, maybe it was selfish that I went all the way to Cornwall to get a tattoo, it has a beautiful ripple effect to everyone around me. And actually, my selfishness benefited my entire family because they got medicine in me trusting myself and me going on this journey to rediscover this part of myself that was always there. And so I'm in awe of Sara and the work that she does, moving across the land, weaving these markings with such intention and love. I'm also in awe of myself and of what I allowed myself to move through, and that I let myself really go for it, because now I can't imagine myself without this. Like, this piece feels like, again, it's always been there. And so I know that this is just one more step in my journey of wild ease, because again, it's not about life being so easy that nothing happens. That's really boring. That's not what we're here for. But it is about being so in flow with your life that things like this can come up, and then you can take advantage of them, right? And then you can keep moving forward from them. And since I've come back, I've been so in flow that literally, like, I'm thinking of people and they're calling me. I am like thinking of my to-do list and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I've got to go do that." Well, it gets crossed off by the universe. Like, someone else takes care of it. And I just, until you live in it, it's hard to believe that it's even possible, but it is possible for you. When you cultivate that sense of safety and trust in yourself and in your energetic connection to the universe, you're going to follow those whispers that sound fucking crazy to everybody else. When I said I was going all the way to Cornwall to get a tattoo, people gave me some side eyes, okay? But I am fully stand behind every piece of it. And actually, if I had never done that, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. Like, the doorway and the portal that I walked through and that is already open to me now that I have stepped into this, like, just watch, mark my words. So much more is going to come from this. And it's because of that trust. So, for me, it's a tattoo, right? For you, maybe it's something completely different, but there is something that you need to do to show the universe that you walk the walk, that you have faith, that you trust this guidance and this path that you have been put on. So whether it's big or small, start with the small things, right? I'm at a place where I can take these big leaps because I believe so much in myself and in my connection that I know so much good is going to come out of it. But if you need to start small by just making tiny decisions like what the fuck you should have for dinner, that's okay. And that's valid, because you need to start listening to that input, that information, right? That is always being processed and given back to us by our bodies. So stay tuned. I'm sure there will be a second episode of Victoria's sacred weaving in Cornwall. But for now, that feels really good. It feels like I shared a lot of, yeah, just the synchronicities. Oh, and the fact that there used to be peacocks like on the land there blows my mind. Because peacocks had really been following me before this experience, and now, again, they are my guardians. They're on my body, along with like the dark feminine symbol, the mother maiden crone symbol. Like, there's so much in this piece, and it means so much. And I will never get a tattoo another way, like, for a while anyway. I should knock on wood. I'm not going to say never again, but if you guys have any questions about the process, the pilgrimage, yeah, please feel free to reach out on Instagram at Victoria Margot Nielsen. Sara can be found at Sara Sacred Inc. I will also drop her information as well as the place we stayed in Cornwall. I don't know how to